We have to stop it!
Bloody leave! I ought to step back!
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Such a pleasure to see you again.
Goodbye, Mr. Chidama. Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Do you need any medical assistance yourself, Doctor?
Yes, indeed. But don't worry, I am perfectly capable of taking care of myself.
I have no doubt about it, but you are still ill all the same. Please, take this medicine.
I appreciate your concern, Dr. Reed. To be honest, I just did not take the time to diagnose myself.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
Giant morgue.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Pepper, I know you're very close to Milton Hooks.
Yes? Milton Hooks is my man. If you want to report me for that, just feel free, Doctor.
I have no intention of reporting you, Nurse Hawkins. But are you aware of the risks?
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse anymore. But here at the Pembroke, we break rules all the time.
Is he worth the risk?
Hey, I'm no perfect woman, and Milton is not the finest bloke. But we do our best to get by. That's all any of us can hope for nowadays.
Do you need medical help yourself, Nurse?
I'm afraid I've contracted some illness, Dr. Reed.
Not under my watch, Nurse. Take this. You'll feel better.
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. It's locked.
How can I be sure I'll not find your unconscious body in the house again?
I promise you'll not find my unconscious body.
For God's sake, how can you say such a thing?
How can you refuse to listen? I tried to warn you for so long.
No, I won't let my only son die. You promised me you'll stay alive.
Your son lied to you, like the whole world lies to us.
Pembroke is so lucky to have Dr. Reed, you know. I met him in New York once.
If only there were more of us. Less.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
Have you seen any suspicious activity in the vicinity, Dr. Reed?
No more than usual.
This is no laughing matter, Dr. Reed. A patient of mine has been murdered. Mr. Fiddick is dead. I should have been more cautious.
Why are you blaming yourself for the death of Mr. Fiddick?
It is our fault. Mr. Fiddick has stayed longer than needed here because Dr. Ackroyd and I could not agree on the correct treatment.
This argument has nothing to do with his death. He was murdered.
But if we had performed the surgery sooner, he would have left the hospital and avoided this fate.
What is troubling you so much, Dr. Strickland? Is there something else?
I had to meet face to face with the son and daughter of Mr. Fiddick this afternoon. Their eyes. I could barely stand before their accusing gaze.
This difficult task is part of our job, Dr. Strickland. It's our responsibility.
I know. As I also know they'll never get the answer to the question they daren't ask. They were the embodiment of cold fatalism.
Do you need my medical attention, dear colleague?
I would have been confused if anyone other than you had asked that question, Dr. Reed. But your help is welcomed.
There is no shame in helping each other. We're colleagues, after all.
Many doctors I have known are too cynical to think that way.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Waste time with me.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Admit it, Mortimer. Your mother had you hospitalized here because you tried to kill yourself.
Yes, it's true.
All right, then. This is the first time we've really shared information about your case. Shall we call this progress?
Call it what you want, Dr. Reed.
You can trust me. I won't report you to the authorities. My one and only concern is your health.
I guess I should thank you then.
Can I help you in any way, Mr. Goswick?
I wrote a letter for my mother. She was supposed to read it after my death. But I suppose she doesn't have to read it now.
I see. And is this letter still near the place where you tried to take your own life?
Yes. And I don't want anyone reading my last words. I mean, I'm still here. If you bring me back that letter, then perhaps we'll talk.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Your son wished to die, Beatrice. Why did you hide such crucial information?
Are you not aware suicide is a crime? Mortimer could be thrown in jail. I can't let that happen. I won't.
I understand you fear the legal consequences, Mrs. Goswick. But don't you realize your silence significantly affects your son's case?
All my son needs is help and comprehension, not judgment and punishment for what he may or may not have done.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
I'm alright. Don't waste your time with me.
What news, Jonathan? I've heard you've now joined the vampire elite of London.
Did Elizabeth tell you?
So it's Elizabeth now. My. Things are moving quickly. I turn my back for a moment and away you go.
I may have found the source of the contagion. Doris Fletcher, the actress. Thankfully, in the end, she was destroyed by fire.
Really? Oh, please, do tell me more.
Doris was a heavily mutated skull. Almost a new breed entirely. It's as if the disease had completely altered her mind and body. Highly contagious.
As if the disease had taken control of her will?
Yes. Once a beautiful and brilliant woman, she became motivated by hate alone.
Oh, she was a beauty. I met her when she visited the hospital to cheer up the sick. Too bad the fire destroyed her. But it was probably for the best.
Have you heard of similar cases?
No, I don't think so. Except, perhaps, it reminds me of an old report from the Brotherhood. Well, more an article, really.
What was it about?
The author, a friar, referred to a rare form of contagion in a skull he observed during the Black Death. The carrier was always female. They called them Icors.
Have you seen Lady Ashbury recently?
Yes, she popped in yesterday. Told me about your new friends in the West End.
Just a courtesy visit, then?
Yes. And no. She was en route to the docks, I think, following a lead concerning your maker.
How's the situation at the Pembroke?
We're still holding out. Question is, for how long? What we really need is hope, Jonathan. Hope for a better tomorrow.
I'll come back later. Thank you, Edgar.
Always a pleasure to see you, my friend.
Hold yourselves! It's on in! It's on! Die! Stupid beast! Oh my God! Shit, that leech is fast! Ain't safe here for a gentleman. Step away, sir. He's mine! I'll take it!
Now everything seems under control.
Good evening, Miss Cox.
Hello again, Dr. Reed. What do you want?
Have you got any news about Sean Hampton's shelter?
The murderer is still unknown. All I know is that the Wet Boot Boys have nothing to do with this.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
The bodies are piling up, but I'm not afraid. I'm still alive, and I intend to stay that way.
Can I offer you my medical help, Miss Cox?
Giving help for free? You'd make a poor businessman, Dr. Reed.
Perhaps I would. Please, take this. You'll feel better.
Thank you. But don't expect me to owe you anything.
Goodbye, Miss Cox.
Idiot had to say first. You again. What do you want?
Have you heard anything about Sean Hampton's shelter?
He's been brutally murdered. And not by one of my boys.
Are you worried about the conditions in London?
I've heard rumours about some sort of militia patrolling, killing the sick. The Wet Boot Boys are overrun.
Do you need medical help, sir?
Yeah, I do. If you can throw in some drugs, I can find use for that too.
So you can sell them on the black market? Sorry. I'll only provide you with exactly what you need.
Fair enough, Dr. Reed. Don't cost me nothing to ask.
Goodbye, Mr. Digby.
Without the wet boots keeping things straight, these parts will be running completely amok.
Shut the turquoise for a time.
I think I'm losing my mind.
Good evening, Mr. Delaney.
What? Oh, you're that doctor.
Do you have any recent news of Sean Hampton's shelter?
I don't want to talk about it. Just hearing his name makes me want to empty another bottle.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
More contagion, more despair, more guns and more dead. More alcohol.
Is there anything in particular that you like about this part of town? Except for the cheap drinks, I mean.
How dare you say such a thing? I love this neighborhood. So friendly, so joyful.
No reason at all to rejoice, then? Life is hopeless and then we die, is that it?
Let me tell you a story.
Another time, perhaps. I'm not sure I want to hear another sad story. Is it true Sean Hampton saved your life?
Yes. He even risked his own life to save my sorry ass. Now he's been murdered. And I still drink. Is life funny or what?
And yet you're still drowning in cheap liquor.
Sean Hampton really acted like a saint that day. But I suppose I'm just another lost soul who doesn't deserve to be saved.
Inebriation aside, do you need medical help?
I already drink the only medicine that suits me, Doctor.
Inebriation aside, do you need medical help?
I already drink the only medicine that suits me, Doctor.
Goodbye, Mr. Delaney.
Welcome back, Doctor. What can I do for you?
Have you got any recent news on Sean Hampton's shelter?
Have you not heard? A sad saint has been murdered. Nothing is sacred anymore.
Are you concerned about the sanitary situation?
It may surprise you, but I'm not. I've heard about the men-at-arms and the fights between gangs at night, but that's nothing new.
I wish I shared your optimism.
It's not optimism. Gangs have been fighting in this part of town since before I was born. This war will stop when enough blood has been spilled.
Do you need any help?
It can't be good for business to see the bartender cough in your beer.
Indeed. It would be a shame to taint the delicate taste.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Reed. My customers and I, we all thank you.
Goodbye, Mr. Watts.
He didn't deserve this.
You're still working at this hour? That's what I call dedication.
Have you heard anything about Sean Hampton's shelter?
His death is proof there's no safe ground in this part of town. The streets live for violence.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation?
Of course I am. Everywhere's deserted. Houses, streets all empty. People buying guns. We hear them go off every night. It's bloody frightening.
Do you require medical assistance, Miss Cavendish?
Don't feel so good if you have to know. I knew that keeping the bar open with the epidemic wasn't a good idea.
Take this, it'll help. Perhaps you should think about closing the Turquoise Turtle for a while.
Tom always said we've got to keep the doors open. But thank you, Doctor.
Goodbye, Miss Cavendish. Evening, Rufus.
Evening, Mr. Reed.
Heard anything about Sean Hampton's shelter lately?
Not since he bought it. Such a sad story.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation?
I never really felt safe in this town anyway. Now's the first time that everyone seems to feel the same way as me.
Is anything worrying you right now?
Gunshots. I hear them every night. Who's firing? Who are they shooting at? That's what's scary.
Do you need help?
A real doctor caring about me. That's a first. I feel like a real person.
A real doctor treats everyone the same, Rufus.
I don't know what to say. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So long, Rufus. Be careful. Take care. Good evening, Mrs. Fishburne. May I come in, please?
Of course. Dr. Reed. Please don't stay too long, sir.
It's locked, all right. It's locked.
What can I do for you, Dr. Reed?
Do you have any news about Sean Hampton's shelter?
What a terrible story. Where is the hope? If even the good souls can be murdered like this.
Aren't you worried about the conditions around here?
Hate everywhere. The city will not sink because of this flu. It's the violence that will finish us all.
Mrs. Fishburne, are you in need of any medical assistance?
I am afraid I am, Doctor. I don't feel well at all.
Then let me give you a prescription.
I thank you for your generosity, sir. It's something this part of town truly needs.
Goodbye, Miss Fishburne. Take care of yourself.
I can't remember the last.
I cannot enter.
Don't forget to count each bullet you fire.
You told me that already.
Nice shot. You learn quickly. Pointing an empty gun could be a fatal mistake.
It's easier when I picture the bastard's face.
Welcome back, Doctor. What can I do for you?
Why are you teaching your waitress how to use a pistol?
Sabrina is a nice girl who's already faced a lot of problems in her life. She does not need another.
Goodbye, Mr. Watts.
I hope I live long enough. You still working at this hour? That's what I call dedication.
I know you've been learning to use a gun, Sabrina. What are you up to?
I just want to feel safe when I go home at night.
Guns are not toys, and are certainly not to be handled when one is agitated.
I don't care. Next time some drunk bastard tries to drag me into the yard, he'll be the one bleeding.
Goodbye, Miss Cavendish.
Welcome back, Doctor. What can I do for you?
Goodbye, Mr. Watts.
Been to India.
Perhaps I should shut the turquoise for a time.
Good evening, Mr. Delaney.
What? Oh, you're that doctor.
Goodbye, Mr. Delaney.
Get them! Fear no evil! Have no fear, brothers!
Informing London's inhabitants of the presence of vampires. What does that make me? A double or a triple agent?
Is there anyone here?
Are you certain you're not lost, sir? You seem quite a stranger to these parts.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Do you need any help?
Rest assured, I will help you, sir. Martin Nightingale, at your service. Please, take a look at my wares.
Your merchandise. I don't really see anything worth having. No offense.
None taken, sir. But please, I need to eat. Perhaps if you keep looking, you'd see something that takes your fancy.
Have you heard anything recently concerning Sean Hampton's shelter?
That is what happens when you try to help others. You attract so much attention you end up dead. Especially in these dark times.
Are you feeling worried about the sanitary situation in London?
This city is falling apart. The disease kills so many people. No one cares about anything or anyone anymore but themselves.
Let me be frank. You're as much of a businessman as I am a werewolf, right?
Who the hell are you to question me? It's hard enough to stay clean when you don't have a place to sleep. I'm doing my best here.
I meant no offense, Mr. Nightingale. I was merely pointing out the fact that you're unlikely to survive long if you continue wandering this path.
And what should I do then, sir? Should I join the Wet Boot Boys like so many others? No thanks. I'd rather be a bad seller than a dead gang member.
What can you tell me about the neighborhood? Have you got any friends around these parts?
Not really. Miss Gillingham smiles and says kind words, but I know she's lost her marbles, especially since her son died.
Tell me about this crazy woman. Madness is often mistaken for other conditions.
The poor woman's mad, all right. Kind and all, but she has so much trouble remembering things. She's taken me for a son more than once.
How interesting. I don't suppose you know what happened to her son.
Jack! Rumour has it he tried to tackle some gang lads. I didn't know him well, but I heard he was a nice enough chap. His old ma still thinks he's around.
Why not try seeking help instead of peddling your wares? I'm sure there are people around here that would gladly help.
There's always the night asylum. I heard it's run by a very nice man, but I'm no beggar. Not yet, at least.
There is no shame in asking for help, my boy. Sometimes it can even be the best course of action.
I don't feel okay with that. I'm gonna make a name for myself, and I'll do it by myself.
Show me what you have to offer then, Mr. Nightingale. Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. May I come in?
I already took my medication, Doctor. But thank you.
I'm sorry. Your medication? Have we met before?
Don't tease me like that, Jack. Sorry, what?
I think I should come in, miss. I'd like to check if everything is okay, what with the epidemic spreading across London.
An epidemic, you say? How terrible. I had no idea. But where are my manners? Please do come in, Doctor. You are a doctor, yes?
It's locked, all right.
So, Dr. Tippett, what brings you back here? I heard whispers you had a job at that fancy hospital.
I told you my name is Jonathan Reed. Don't you remember?
Of course I do. I remember my name too. Gillingham. But you may call me Enid, Doctor. I'm very happy to see you again.
Have you heard anything recently concerning Sean Hampton's shelter?
I've never heard that name before, I'm afraid.
Are you worried about the sanitation crisis in London?
Too much noise, too much shouting. It keeps me up. Is it really gunfire I'm hearing?
Is anyone taking care of you, Miss Gillingham?
My son is always here to take care of me. He's a good boy like that, but I do worry that he needs to start living his own life. Why, I would never say that to him, of course.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
Oh, no. I don't gossip. That would be most unbecoming of a lady such as myself.
Who are the more influential figures on the docks?
Well, I heard about some terrible illness going around. I would say in that case that it's you, Dr. Tippett.
Goodbye, Miss Gillingham.
I know I've got something that'll strike your fancy.
The wet boots.
Good evening, Mr. Throgmorton.
Dr. Reed, can I be of any assistance? Have you noticed anything suspicious lately?
Have you heard any rumors regarding Sean Hampton's shelter?
I spent days observing the place, but the vampires still got him. Evil. It's everywhere, Dr. Reed.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
It seems the Guard of Priwen has declared war on vampires. I'm not sure if that's a good thing, though.
Really? I thought you'd be thrilled by this news.
The Guard can be reckless. They rush into a fight without thinking. The citizens of London should not be the collateral victims.
Do you need my medical attention, sir?
Actually, I may. In my line of work, I have to stop at any sign of infection.
Treating a vampire hunter's wounds is certainly a first for me. I'm happy to help you, of course.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. Your support means a lot.
Goodbye, and good hunting, Mr. Throgmorton. It's locked. I cannot enter. It's locked, all right.
Keep your distance, Echo. We're at your mercy. Will you end up?
Let me rest now.
Have you found the answers you were looking for, young Ekon?
There is too much left unanswered. So many questions.
Get to know us. Spend time with us. And I may be willing to answer more questions.
Thank you, old Bridget. I hope we'll meet again. Are you all right, sir? What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same question. Don't you know this is a quarantine zone?
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm investigating the epidemic. You had better get to a safe place while you still can.
Oh, really? or go investigate somewhere else and leave me be.
I beg your pardon?
I said go. Leave me alone, sir.
Rodney, you're the man who killed that gang member, are you not? Is that why you are hiding in this godforsaken place?
Yes, I did. I did not even know his name.
Then why did you kill him?
That arsehole always mocked me for the colour of my skin. Usually I let it go. But not that night. We fought. He died.
Unfortunately, I have met several murderers during my lifetime. You don't look like them. I can tell you're no cold-blooded killer.
You're right, sir. At first it was just a simple argument between us. But the man had a bad fall.
Believe me, Rodney, you won't survive here long. No matter what you did, you must go back to where you used to live.
I'll go back to the docks then. But if I die, remember that the blood of Rodney Grader will be on your hands. I'll go back to the docks then. But if I die, remember that the blood of Rodney Grader will be on your hands.
It's locked.
You again? What do you want?
Do you have recent news of Hampton's shelter?
That place was a dump, and it still is. The only good news is we don't have to listen to the sad saints' prayers anymore now he's gone.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
Chaos is rising, Dr. Reed. This city is about to crumble.
You almost sound happy.
This world needs to die, Dr. Reed. And from the ashes, a new one will emerge, with more equity and freedom.
Do you need medical help, Miss Paxton?
I may, but I have no money for your scams, Doctor.
I will see you later. Well, I'll leave you for now. Goodbye, Miss Paxton.
Glad to see you again, Mr. Reed.
Do you have recent news of Sean Hampton's shelter?
I can't believe that someone could be cruel enough to assassinate a saint. Maybe Giselle is right. Maybe this world is doomed.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
There are rumors of infected people turned mad by the fever and roaming the streets, attacking everyone they see. Is it true?
As long as you stay away from the streets, you should be all right.
I hope you're right, Dr. Reed. We feel kind of left alone around here.
Do you need my medical attention, Miss Paxton?
I can keep going, Dr. Reed.
Of course you can, Miss Paxton. But I wouldn't recommend it. Please, take this. You will feel better.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. Thank you. Really.
Goodbye, Miss Paxton.